From Gotham City to Washington, D.C., one villain that challenged Batman, Batgirl, and many other superheroes but was also delisted would be none other than Dr. Phosphorus. His brilliance was another level, bringing forth new challenges each time he appeared in Gotham City. His story of a scientific ambition gone wrong is told in the annals of DC Comics, weaving the tale of Dr. Alexander Sartorius, or Dr. Phosphorus, a once respected nuclear physicist whose destiny took a horrific turn. It serves as a cautionary story about how scientific experiments can go wrong by transferring a once promising scientist into the dark and luminous creature known as Dr. Phosphorus. This change digs deeply into the realm of atomic mutations and reveals the terrible transition of a man into a creature covered in radioactive, luminous, and harmful energy. In this video, we will be exploring the origin and journey of Dr. Phosphorus through comic book history to comprehend hero-turned-villain story and, of course, his ferocious revenge. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. A nuclear scientist or an atomic mutant, the transformation of Dr. Phosphorus. In issues 469 and 470 of Detective Comics, the beginnings of the legendary Dr. Phosphorus are traced back. Exploring these comics reveals where Dr. Phosphorus's tragic development began. Dr. Phosphorus was originally Dr. Alexander Sartorius, a brilliant nuclear scientist living in Park Avenue, which was one of the poshest locations in Gotham City. He lived among many investors who were also a part of a club called Tobacconist. He had researched and developed quite a lot during his days as a nuclear scientist and wanted to gain more in his life. His greed drove him to join the Tobacconist Club. This club was chaired by Rupert Thorne, and soon after Alexander's arrival, the club decided to make a nuclear power plant in Gotham City. Rupert urged all the influential people of Gotham present in the club to fund the nuclear power plant, and, believing in him, Dr. Sartorius funded the project with all his life savings. Dr. Sartorius was greedy to double everything he had. He wanted the nuclear power plant not just for his savings to double, but also to create a nuclear power that is undefeatable, one that will make him the most powerful. His desire to be the most powerful led to the decision to invest. However, soon after a public release about the nuclear power plant being close to the city sparked protests, the club had no other choice but to drop the project to a place on the outskirts of Gotham, leaving a big dent in the funds they had initially received. Dr. Sartorius was disheartened, but he still had hope. One fine evening after the workers left for the day, Dr. Sartorius visited the nuclear power plant to see what his money had led to. But at the same time, the reactor started making noises. The emergency siren started, but it was too late. Dr. Sartorius hid behind a few red sandbags close to him, but it was too late. The nuclear reactor, because of tight budgets, had compromised safety, leading to this explosion. However, after the explosion, something unique happened. Instead of dying during the explosion, as others presumed, Alexander mutated when he came in contact with the sandbags. The nuclear meltdown cursed his whole body with irradiated sand, and Silicon received another electron, becoming Phosphorus. Dr. Sartorius became Dr. Phosphorus, with a green burning light for skin and an exposed skeleton, as phosphorus burns when it meets air. This green menacing flame became the definition of Dr. Phosphorus's personality change and added another element to his antagonistic character, creating a perfect villain in the DC universe. Dr. Phosphorus swore against the whole city of Gotham for his incident and pledged revenge against everyone, instead of blaming himself for the mishap. Dr. Phosphorus plotted numerous times to destroy Gotham City, particularly this one time by poisoning the city's water supply with radioactive substances. And he even successfully does so. Within a few hours, hundreds of people are affected by a non-diagnosed epidemic disease, so much that it reaches Alfred, Bruce Wayne's butler. Batman meets the commissioner, who is also down with that epidemic disease, to understand the root of this. Batman Batman pays a visit to Alfred's house and realizes that all the people getting sick have consumed water and something is wrong with the water supply. He reaches the water supply where he has his very first encounter with Dr. Phosphorus. Batman faced severe burns, but once they entered the water, Dr. Phosphorus lost his power and Batman could easily gain ground over him. Dr. Phosphorus leaves and reaches Rupert Thorne's residence, threatening them to let Batman go off his way or he will harm everyone, including the club members. Rupert orders a subpoena against Batman to stop him while Dr. Phosphorus creates more ruckus by killing hundreds of people in a concert with radioactive emissions. Batman creates a suit that is radioactive resistant and hosts a party as Bruce Wayne. He disappears in between and defeats Dr. Phosphorus in the same nuclear power plant where Dr. Phosphorus supposedly falls at the heart of the reactor while Batman leaves the plant just in time. However, Dr. Phosphorus is not so easy to defeat, is he? Dr. Phosphorus, back in business? Dr. Phosphorus's reappearance is explored in Batman issue 311, where the story dives into the reemergence of this atomic mutant. The comic depicts his ominous birth as he re-enters Gotham City, wielding a higher intensity and capacity of destructive radioactive powers. The ensuing battle pits the Dark Knight against this terrible foe once more, resulting in a confrontation much bigger than before. After building the nuclear reactor twice, protests against the nuclear reactor plant continued. The commissioner's daughter, aka Batgirl, who is working in Washington, D.C., reaches this protest area and voices her opinion against the nuclear reactor, as it has caused enough mishaps to the city of Gotham. Dr. Phosphorus escapes the nuclear plant and reaches this protest site, planning to bring down everyone against his power plant with phosphorus rain, only to meet Batman and Batgirl's united front, facing defeat yet again. After this incident, he is captured in a laboratory where scientists research his radioactive powers. However, do you think this is really the end of Dr. Phosphorus? In a tank surrounded by scientists, one of which he longed to be? Final showdown, or is it? In Detective Comics issue 825, the last showdown between Batman and Dr. Phosphorus reaches the final encounter, in which the Dark Knight confronts the full range of Dr. Phosphorus's devastating abilities. The pages develop in a fight that demonstrates the stakes involved when a force as dark and powerful as Dr. Phosphorus clashes with Gotham's renowned guardian. Dr. Phosphorus breaks free and gets to the first two scientists, including Dr. Bell, who had informed Batman and aided in healing the Commissioner and Alfred, Bruce's butler. Batman tries stopping him twice, but his power is so much that even Batman is unable to control him with just water. Batman finally suppresses Dr. Phosphorus with baking soda, which reacts with phosphorus and reduces the flaming efficiency, while Dr. Phosphorus attacks Rupert Thorne, the last surviving member and chief of the Tobacconist Club. Dr. Phosphorus gets admitted to Arkham Mental Asylum in Gotham while the facilities find a way to suppress him once and for all. Dr. Phosphorus and Manbat, a historical comeback. An epic encounter with Manbat adds to Dr. Phosphorus's terrible legacy in the pages of comic history. The clash of these two titans provides readers with a dramatic spectacle as two tremendous entities from the DC universe collide. Robert Langstrom, a man who becomes Manbat and loses control of his senses while he consumes a bat serum, is the new hero in town. As the story goes, he's fighting off all those who have escaped the Arkham Mental Asylum, along with other superheroes who have arrived in Gotham City during Batman's absence. Dr. Phosphorus is one of the escapees who captures Robert's wife Francine as he knows of the serum and desires it to plant revenge against Batman. In search of Francine, Manbat finds Dr. Phosphorus and feels he has no power as he needs his serum to turn into Manbat and fight him. When Dr. Phosphorus tries harming Francine, Robert turns into Manbat at will, and they have an intense face-off leading to the defeat of Dr. Phosphorus. Surprisingly, Manbat defeats him with his bare hands, despite facing severe burns. Manbat leaves Dr. Phosphorus near a water reservoir, and although he survives his attack, he is soon stopped for good by Ragman and Wildcat, the heroes in town capturing all the escapees of Arkham Asylum. Dr. Phosphorus and his superpowers. Dr. Phosphorus is legendary, not because of his revenge plotting, but because of his blazing abilities. To really understand Dr. Phosphorus, we must explore the scope of his powers and skills. This luminous enemy has a distinct set of characteristics that are meticulously portrayed in the comics. His greatest power is, of course, radiation energy. His touch itself can kill people, giving him an undue advantage over his enemies. Some fans also believe that he had sold his soul to Neron in Hell, which led to the aura of radiation and intense control over this burning, as well to throw burns as projectiles to keep it low from burning through his clothes. However, this does not turn up in the comics. Another power that Dr. Phosphorus possesses is energy production and the ability to hold and consume more energy. After getting defeated by Batman, he goes back to the reactor, charges himself, and becomes more powerful. This ability to gain power makes him an indestructible enemy, which adds depth to the comic. He can also produce energy and manipulate radiation. And last but not the least, Dr. Phosphorus has superhuman endurance and can be termed immortal as his body organs are no longer present and his source of energy is met by nuclear radiations and reactions. So if not messed with, by balancing his chain reaction, Dr. Phosphorus is endless. Is Dr. Phosphorus returning anytime soon? That brings us to some exciting news. The upcoming HBO Max DC Universe animated series, Creature Commandos, is expected to feature the mysterious Dr. Phosphorus, bringing this supervillain back. This expands the character's presence in the animated world and is a huge step for him. Creature Commandos, as we know, is a collection of obscure characters from the DC Universe, brought back to life by James Gunn. Fans will be able to see Dr. Phosphorus's antagonistic, fiery nature in a fresh new way thanks to this involvement in the series. This show will have Dr. Phosphorus as the new addition with the voice of Alan Tudyk. As we know, Alan has voiced many DC Universe characters for a long time, but his most notable voiceovers would be of Green Arrow in Young Justice and Joker and Clayface in Harley Quinn. He has also voiced Superman in Justice League War, and let's not forget his role as Mr. Nobody in The Amazing Doom Patrol. Alan is widespread in the DC Universe, and this addition as Dr. Phosphorus is a much-awaited welcome for DC fans. Marvelous verdict. Dr. Phosphorus emerges as a fascinating and formidable antagonistic character in comic books. His journey from nuclear scientist to atomic mutant is not just fascinating, but hyper-realistic. His interactions with Batman and other notable people set the stage for a story filled with intense confrontations, moral loopholes, and perceptual issues. The appeal of Dr. Phosphorus in the DC world remains a testament to the imaginative depths explored by the comic writers and artists who bring this compelling antagonist to life. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.